I like checklists and I like to cross them off. And I have started to change how I do things so that I can be a more effective mother teacher as I am getting older students who need both more independence and also need to be challenged. And so in this video, I'm sharing how I keep my logbook, how that's gone, what worked, what didn't work, and then how that is a complement to the timetable that we keep. I'm Cherrick and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I do videos about Charlotte Mason homeschooling, nature study, and family life. So there is a scripture verse that kind of plays in the back of my mind as I am going through a homeschool day, and that is, at the appointed time, Christ died for us. And I just keep thinking about that idea of an appointed time and how it is set apart, and that God would utilize time in that way to bring us salvation. And I just keep thinking, okay, at the appointed time, like we have an appointed time to do these things that we have set out, that we might feed our minds with beautiful, good, and true ideas so that my children will be well nourished, and I also will be well nourished with good things to think about. So I was trying to figure out how to keep track of all the things, and we have a pretty nice clip that we're going throughout our morning, and I have to say it has cut down so much on conflict with my children and me, and with my children and one another, because we are all engaged in good work. We are enjoying the work that is set before us. And so here, I'm going to show you this. This is the logbook that I've got going, and it has all my kids' names at the top, and then I have MTWTHF for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm new to keeping a logbook. I didn't know what I was even going to put on the left-hand column. But what I found is if I at least write down what I have checked from each of my children, and then if I see that there's a blank under their name, that I know I have not checked in with this child, I need to see what is going on. So that has been a nice visual for me. And then it's also been really nice to be able to keep track of attitudes and wins. And then at the end of each week, I have this handy weekly review sheet that I got off of Etsy and just put it in my book. 5 accomplishments I'm grateful for, what was done well, what can be improved, challenges. But the only way I would know what to put over here is if I make a note of it during our school day in my logbook. So that has been a really helpful tool, because what I noticed, so let me just kind of talk about my fall. So we did 5 weeks of school, 6 weeks of school, before we moved into a house. So we started in July, and then it was okay, at the end of July, we found a house that we actually were able to buy, and then we moved in September. And then my daughter and I were going to England in the middle of all of that. We moved in, and then my daughter and I left on Monday. We moved in Friday. It was not, you don't plan these things. This is what's happening. So my younger kids who stayed back were actually able to continue in their course of work while I was gone. Simplified, they weren't doing morning time and all of that, but they did have their reading, writing, math, and they had history, and they even had some geography. They had a lot of a feast. I felt like that they were well occupied. So that was wonderful. And I had already planned that ahead of time. But then when I returned, I was hoping to spend, a month trying to get the house, just feather the nest a little bit, get things set up and all of that. But of course, things took longer than one would like, and there were delays, and there were things that broke, and blah, blah, blah. So our school days were able to get back on track, but I actually did not keep a logbook at that time. So I'm going to confess, we had about 5 weeks of school left. And what I realized was, because I wasn't keeping a logbook, even though I was doing a weekly review and planning, we only did 3 weeks of the 5 weeks I had planned, because I kept thinking we were on 1 week. You see what I'm saying here? So I was so scattered that I missed some content. It was really just in our morning time readings. I thought, oh, look, we're done. We don't have to do anything. I'm so glad I planned it this way. And then I was like, oh, oops. So that's fine. I think that there is a lot of grace that can be had in homeschooling while we are also striving to apply Charlotte Mason's principles and trying to present good, beautiful ideas to our kids, and also create an atmosphere and a rhythm, a daily flow that is dependable and helps all of us kind of know what's expected. So I am excited to get back on the wagon again for utilizing my logbook. And now that I see the contrast between using it and being able to do weekly reviews, and I really was able to make adjustments, just slight tweaks in the schedule, or this isn't working for someone and this person has a need, or this child doesn't have enough to do, really my preschooler, whatever it was. But I had a real time record of what was happening, and I had a place to put that information, and then I also had a time set aside to review that information. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.